Being a third generation chef, I'm like, why are we eating this highly processed vegan stuff? It's not even about saving animals. I'm about saving this animal. I literally thought I was going to die if I stopped eating meat. And
we're all going to die.
People say you only live once. Well, if that is the case, then treat this one life the best.
what kind of life do you want to live? You see, my father was murdered. He didn't have a choice in how he left this earth. But you have a choice today, and your loved ones are depending on your choices.
This is the problem that I have with sometimes the plant-based discussions.
So let's talk about this, because I love this.
Right, your body gets information or inflammation. You eating Jack in the Box, you eating McDonald's, you eating all of these different things. You're starved for the correct things that will put you in a balance.
I'm specifically in the business of watching my mother almost die from lack of knowledge. And I sat there and I could do nothing to help her.
Manifest House. So everybody doesn't eat healthy. I get it. And at the same time, it's okay because I'm not here to judge. But there's opportunity for you to eat better, to live better, to grow better, to think better. Because right now, there's way too many people that wake up slow, sluggish, right? It takes them almost hours to get their energy to where they feel like they're at peak for the day. And that's because their biorhythms is off. That's because their body is still trying to digest the food that they put in there that is, frankly, alien to the body, and it does nothing for it. Most of the food that we encounter, we eat for taste. But at the same time, we don't eat for any nutrients. We don't eat because it's going to allow our bodies to regrow and reproduce to where the next day we have everything that we need to meet the challenge that is called life. I had the great opportunity of traveling recently to Europe and to Africa last year. And when I eat out there, I'm gonna be honest with you, Americans, I watch less of my diet because the food is not the same. The substance, the genetically modified materials in which the food is made, the seeds that it comes from, the soil before it gets to my table is not the same. I eat out there and it's light. Plus it costs less. The problem out here is we have expensive, cheap food. Out there, they have very great quality food, but it is inexpensive. So here we're paying more to die. And out there, we're paying less to live. So what we have to do is we have to change that gap between the quality of what we eat and the quality of the life that we live. We can't continue to make a living only for to use that capital to kill us. And today, we're talking to Natasha about how we can change the longevity of our lives. And hopefully Keenan gets the message.
Yo, first off, that is the best intro that anyone has ever gotten.
Thank you.
I just want you to know that you got a full commercial at the beginning of this show. That was incredible. But I do have a question for you, Keys. Did you eat meat while you were out there?
Pause.
Well, you know what? There is a scientific formulation. We can get to that a bit later.
No, we can get to it right now.
I just want to get to it because I felt judged. I felt judged with the monologue.
I said, beginning, it's not about judging. Your sentence comes from you, right, in the food that you eat, not between me and my observations.
Well, there's that. Well, thank you for joining us on the show. As you can see, this is quite entertaining.
Thank you, Keenan. Thank you, 19.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I am excited that we have finally got a chance to meet in person.
Yes, it has been a while.
Not through social media. So thank you for taking the time to join us and grace the stage of Manifest House.
Well, I'm honored to be present.
Always, always. So, on this show, what we like to get into is the journey. Right, not just where you are, right, and all the accolades that you have, but what was the origin story? What was the process? Not just the what and the why, but the how. Right, we all go through stuff. There's things and challenges that we have, but I think what makes us all special and unique is how we overcome that. Right, so I really want to get into that. So, if I can kick off a question, I want the origin story. Take me all the way back to Australia. How do we get here?
How did we get here? Well. So I'm first generation Australian. My father is from Guyana, formerly known as British Guyana. Not Ghana, but next to Venezuela, above Brazil, Guyana.
Yep.
And he took his family out of Guyana because it was run by drug lords. Went to New York in the 70s and was like, nah, bro, it's not it.
Then went by drug lords too.
And so he found Sydney, Australia, and he migrated there with his mother and sister. And
Wait a minute. He went from Guyana to New York to Australia? Oh, he really wanted to get away from drug lords.
Yeah, he did. He did. And then my mother, she's Indian from Fiji.
Okay.
And her father died when she was 13. So soon after, her very Indian mother tried to marry her off in an arranged marriage. And my mom was not having that. So she ran away. And she went to Sydney, Australia. And then they met and had, 4 kids. And I'm the youngest of 4. I have 3 older brothers. But my origin story really is knowing life growing up with my mother. And, it wasn't, for me, everything's an adventure. So, and my mother's like a magnificent woman. She made my childhood feel wondrous and fantastic. But we were living in an inner city, very high crime rate. And I don't know how much of the story you want because there's chapters to it.
Yeah.
It started off very interesting.
I mean, it was very Australian because everything's an adventure. I've been to Sydney and it is an adventure.
Yeah. So,
So Australia has a lot of crime.
Australia has what I like to call, there's like ordinary crime, but then there's also copycat crime. But in the neighborhood we're in, it was lots of housing commission. You guys call it projects here. And we lived in housing commission. And so, we moved out to a nicer neighborhood. And how do I say this? So my dad had Sunday custody because my parents were divorced.
He had what?
Sunday custody. So he gets to see me on Sunday, right? My brother and I.
Like, I've never heard that. Wait, what?
Visitation.
Oh, okay.
Visitation, right? Sunday visitation. So
Lord's Day.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And so one day when I was 11 years old, my mom decided to take my brother and I on a holiday, and she accidentally broke custody. And then she got notified by the police that she broke custody, and now my dad could get full custody of us.
Oh, wow.
So my mom was like, darn it, I'm just going to keep driving. And she just kept driving for 4 years straight.
Wow.
And so,
fugitive.
Yeah. So during that time, we lived in every state in Australia except for Tasmania, because really, why?
Yeah.
Just kidding. Went to 8 different schools. I skipped a grade. I lived on a cattle station. Lived in a motel where I used to walk to my school. Lived in a house. Lived in flats. Lived across the beach. Lived in the middle of the desert. Lived in the middle of nowhere.
That's some real driving because Australia's not small. So when we're talking about across the state lines, like
yeah,
that's not.
So your mama kidnapped you,
but like willingly. I was so happy to be kidnapped by my mom.
I mean, that's a lot of victims say that.
Yeah, but it's a testimony to how much my mom loved us. But fortunately or unfortunately, as things happened, my father found out where we were. And instead of being able to get up in the middle of the night and go to the next town, I was at school. And so the police came to my school.
Wow.
And the Friday before, actually was my first time ever skipping school. So I thought I was in trouble for wagging, right? I don't know what you guys call it here.
Skipping school.
Skipping school, yeah.
Ditching.
Yeah. And so I was like, oh no, they found out. No, they took me to the police station and I saw my dad and my oldest brother. And I went from my school to the police station to the airport.
Wow.
Airport, flew all the way back to Sydney without getting to say bye to my mom. And I was 13 when that happened.
And where were you? Were you in Peoria?
So I was living in Kalgoorlie in Western Australia.
Wow.
And Sydney so it's like, imagine like LA to New York.
So was your father like a bad guy or something of that nature?
My father, so we talked about Guyana, like when he was a boy, a lot of things happened around him that he had no control over. And so coming to Australia, he needed to understand how to like take that fire and direct it in a positive way. And it took him a couple of decades to figure that out. Like, from childhood to your 30s or, know. And so when he finally understood how to channel that, he became a person to help people who fell through the cracks of the justice system. And I guess, you know, having his kids with him was a part of that justice. But it was good to be raised by him from 13 because he'd raised 2 sons and he gained another son and he raised me like a son. So that was great.
Wait, so then, sorry, so just to back up. So you go back with your dad, but what happens with your mom? Does she get Sundays?
No, I didn't see
wow.
her for about a year and a bit. Yeah.
Wow.
There was a lot of
legal.
No, just a lot of like, you know, emotion between him and what my mom did. He didn't see me for 4 years, so he was like, I think a year is good, you know.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's wild.
That's an interesting system that they got over there, number one, because that's completely different than ours. Government ain't shipping you back to your pops. You know what I'm saying? And missing one Sunday ain't gonna be enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, one Father's Day. That's cold.
Well, it was a couple of Sundays, but you know, he was an honest person. So when I got to Sydney, he put down like a batch of papers about this thick, and he was like, "Look at all the lies I had to tell to get you here." So, you know, there's a system, and people use a system for what they want, and sometimes it's bad, and sometimes it's good, and sometimes it's you just have to be there, right?
So now, all right. So you go through that. How do you make your way across the pond?
Across the pond. Well,
how do you get here?
Hold on, before you go there, it's a lot of animals in Australia. Were you eating them all?
They game meat?
Lamb, chicken, rabbit. I have tried snake. Not fond of it. Did try emu.
Emu?
Yeah.
What's that?
Emu is like an Australian ostrich.
Oh, them little emus.
Yeah, but they're non-flight birds. They run very fast.
Yeah, in the commercial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the emu. In the insurance commercial.
Crocodile.
Delicious.
Of course.
Tastes interesting.
Every Australian has crocodile.
What else? I once went to I tried kangaroo. It's very gamey. Very, you know, more gamey than lamb.
A little more height than that.
Yeah. Kangaroo is a bit tough. But I went to I'm sure I've accidentally eaten spiders before, but I went to Malaysia once and I ordered a sesame chicken. Came to find out it was rat. It happens. It tasted really tough. They call it black chicken.
Yeah, they overcooked it.
Black chicken.
Yeah.
Sometimes you gotta do that rat medium rare.
That's the chicken that they brought in the hoods of America. That's why they call it black chicken. This the chicken we about to go be feeding black people.
Whoa.
Because I can say I ain't never ate rat, right? But
how do you know?
No,
I'm saying because we had the Chinamen back in St. Louis, and then all the conspiracies came out, uploading the truck. It was Tom and Jerry back there. Listen, I'm just saying, everybody know about this. Everybody knows about this.
Look,
you may think we live in a first world country, but we got third world
different, huh?
Yeah,
it was.
Yeah.
Okay, so you were a meat eater.
Yeah, I was a hardcore meat eater. My mother's a second generation chef, so I knew how to cook and take care of myself. And
so you came to the good food growing up.
All the time.
Down. Okay.
Yeah, all the time. But you know, my journey
shrimp on the Barbie type stuff. I get
so
it.
we call it prawns. That's how you know an American made that saying. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. It's okay.
But
still a good saying.
Yeah, I like it. But my journey to the States happened because my brother was living in New York for 10 years.
Okay.
So we used to come here and visit him and spend time in New York. And then I went to Parsons School of Design after high school. And then
that's in New York, right?
In New York, yeah. And then when I was 15, I fell in love with a boy, and the boy happened to be American. And you know, my plans from going to Italy to study fashion design in Italy became New York and Parsons. And
wait, you fell in love at 15?
Yeah, 15? You planning out, you go college? Who's this brother you met?
Yeah. Like,
you got you changing college plans instantly.
Well, 2 years later, yeah.
Where is this young man?
He's the reason why I live in America now.
Okay, that what I'm talking about. They still together.
I was like, this story has a happy ending?
Yes.
Is he still in the picture?
Yes.
Unarranged marriage.
So from 15 till now, Oh, that's a story right there.
Yeah.
What's his name? Shout out to my man. Well
LA
done,
Rise.
brother. Come on.
Yeah, he did the right thing.
At 15, that's a different type of risk. That's smooth right there. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We fell in love hard and fast. It was over a summer. And I remember he was going back to the States to go visit his father. And I thought I'd never see him again. So I took all my life savings.
Oh, wait. So he came to Australia?
He grew up in Australia.
Oh, wow.
But his father lives in the States.
Wow. Okay.
So, yeah, I took my life savings and I was like, I want to give him something that he can have forever. And he's a Leo. So,
what year was this when you gave him your life savings? Is this typical thing they do in Australia?
I was 15 and a half, basically. So I bought him a beautiful 18-karat gold ring, which was a lion. And in the eyes of the lion, there was 2 rubies.
I see why he ain't left. She ain't left. He ain't left.
He is sticking around.
I remember, listen, I got a story in middle school. This girl stole some money or something, and she presented me with a gift, and it was these 2 girls fighting over it and stuff. And I thought that was
she stole your money?
No.
So she
stole money.
She robbed Peter to pay Paul.
I
see.
And I thought that was something.
Yeah, that's Oakland.
You know what I'm saying?
Oakland.
But she wasn't taking her life savings and buying gold rings. Otherwise, I've been with her today.
That might have been her life savings.
Might have been at the time, but it wasn't
she's
enough.
stealing.
She should have saved more.
It wasn't 18 karat.
No.
You got a gold plated. Gold plated don't count.
That would have put a rash
she
on
giving solid.
Yeah, that's first of all, ladies, I'm just saying, take notes. You know, because I think it's an unarranged marriage. And everybody's so big on these unarranged marriages. I don't know why, because even arrangements don't work out or unarrangements don't work out. But all I'm saying is, put some skin in the game.
Yeah, it's so we talked about earlier how I started going back to the gym. So I'm listening to hip hop music, right?
I'm laughing, I'm serious.
Put some skin in the game. Buy the ring.
But
buy the ring.
Theoretically, that's true, because all this music today is about what, like, women don't call themselves women anymore. And guys are comparing women to hoes. And it's like, a hoe is a woman you pay for. Like, do you really want to be comparing your wife to a hoe? Like, you ain't like these. I'm like, she better not be like those. Right?
Yeah.
So now we got you here in the U.S. with the love of your life.
Yeah.
You bought the gold.
You delivered the gold. You gave him a dowry. That worked out. Right? So that was
very
good.
cultural.
So this is great. I am a fan of Australia. So all right, I love that. So now after Parsons, take us.
So after Parsons, I transferred to Miami to be closer to the love of my life. And
y'all were doing long distance in the States as well.
Yeah.
This is a journey. We need a book.
Yeah. So after one semester while I was studying in Miami, my father came out to visit. So just to catch you up, I was bothered with him for about 8-9 months. And then he gained my trust and we became best friends. And he became my superhero. And, I learned a lot during the time I spent with my dad and lived with my dad. So when he came to Miami, we had a great 6 weeks together. And that's when he finally gave his blessing to my now husband.
Wow.
Because he was tough. And then 2 weeks after going back to Sydney, saying he was going to retire and spend 6 months in Miami, 6 months traveling, he was murdered on the job. So my life went from like this to this to this and all this other stuff. And I was 19. I just turned 19 when that happened. So I had to withdraw from school, return back to Sydney, and rebuild a future that I didn't plan my life with my dad.
Wow.
And see what that looks like. And the crazy thing is that I didn't realize at the time, because I didn't want to go back into fine arts or back into fashion.
Okay.
And I didn't understand that it's because it really reminded me of him. And the biggest thing that reminded me of him was me. And so I did everything but what my sole purpose was, because I was grieving my father so much.
Wow.
And the other component of it is death. Until you experience an immediate death of somebody who's your emotional support, you don't know how you're going to respond. Like people are like, oh, I'm so sorry. And like, that's nice. But the way that I responded to my father's death was, how dare you smile, Natasha? How dare you laugh?
Right.
How dare you celebrate your birthday or
Survivor's
the
guilt.
holidays and this and that when your dad's 6 feet under? What kind of sick person are you? And I lived in that space for about 7 years.
Wow.
Until one day it was like, enough is enough. My dad wouldn't want this for me. So here I'm feeling what I'm thinking I'm supposed to feel. And then putting myself in my dad's shoes, he would be bitch slapping me so hard. Like, what a waste. I'm gone and here you are wasting your life.
Yeah.
And that's when I started to evolve into what I was made for. You know, I guess unearthing, just taking all that shit off.
Yeah.
Because we are who we are, right?
Yeah.
And something that helped me propel that was 4 years after my dad's death, my mother was diagnosed with breast cancer. And so not knowing anything about cancer, right, we did what the doctor said because doctor knows best. She started chemotherapy. She was allergic to it. She almost died.
Wow.
They moved her to radiotherapy. It burnt her veins, her nails, fingers, face from the inside out.
Wow.
She almost died, ended up in ICU again. They wanted me to do a genetic test. And if I tested positive, they were going to do a preventable mastectomy. So yeah, at that point, it was like, do I go to this hospital to do this test? Waking up thinking it's today the day I get cancer. And I was like, this like deep resounding voice, you know, my God voice, right? Was like, hell no.
Wow.
Don't let them touch you.
Yeah.
And instead of just being passive, I decided to find out, why did my mom get breast cancer? How do I help her heal? And is there a way for me to prevent that from ever being my future? And so I dived down the rabbit hole. And when I came out, I was pescatarian. And I became pescatarian because I learned that animal protein turns on cancer genes, grows cancer cells, and grows cancer tumors, whereas plants turn off cancer genes, kill cancer cells, and shrink cancer tumors. Then I dived even more into the rabbit hole and I realized that fish is the same as land animals, but it's actually kind of worse because it has microplastics in it, has mercury in it. And after Fukushima, it also has radiation in it in certain parts of the world, right? The most polluted places.
We bombed. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So then I became vegetarian and then I found out that dairy is worse than the meat. And I was like, no, I was the most reluctant person on this journey. You need to understand.
Jocelyn, what is this? Is this milk or is this non-dairy?
Is that almond?
Okay. I think it's almond.
Yeah, this is going to be your last one by
That's
the
why I
time
get
we're
black.
done.
Yeah. Okay.
And then I became vegan, and then I realized that the vegan industry was crap and fake. And being a third generation chef, I'm like, shit's not that hard. Why are we eating this highly processed vegan stuff? And so then I became whole food plant-based vegan, and that was the birth of Eat Virgin, because I literally thought I was going to die if I stopped eating meat.
Wow.
And everything that I thought I was missing, I put into this product. So it's got up to 24 vitamins and minerals in each serving. It's 100% organic, whole food, plant-based. And it's a healing food that tastes good for you, has a good shelf life. You can carry it around everywhere. And that was the beginning.
Now, you're not like raw vegan.
No.
Right? Okay.
No.
I know that's a...
Yeah. I eat raw food.
Of course.
And juices. And
yeah, I have lettuce every now and then.
Yeah.
No, not. So I understand.
This guy.
Like iceberg lettuce?
It's not the same. Excuse his behavior over
Kale,
there.
spinach, romaine.
You wearing green. You don't eat green. You know what I'm saying? That's his idea of going
That's actually
green.
what I was
You're
wearing.
green too?
I know, but I be eating greens.
Yeah.
Okay. I get my say,
Had a
my daily
today.
serving. So as you, one, I'm like, don't judge us because he eats lots of swine, so we have to
Never
watch out for
in
that.
my entirety of the time on this planet Earth has there been a period where this vessel has ingested the decrepit state of an animal, such as the combination as a rat, cat, and a dog that morphed into what we know as a pig, that is the vacuum of the planet Earth for all the waste. I've never endorsed such taste.
We don't judge here at Manifest House. If you would like pepperoni pizza, enjoy yourself. But today, we are focused on vegan.
But I will say this. Where there is no judge, there are no sentences, and a lot of people are being sentenced to death. So somebody is judging you. But do what you must.
Yeah.
We're all going to die.
To pass, to
Depends on the
continue
quality
that.
of living. Why you die. Before you die is what matters the most. Because people say you only live once. Well, if that is the case, then treat this one life the best.
Yeah. And that's what it comes down to is, what kind of life do you want to live? Do you have people who love you? You see, my father was murdered. He didn't have a choice in how he left this earth.
Mm-hmm.
But you have a choice today, right? And your loved ones are depending on your choices, right? Our kin, our descendants are depending on us to make the right choices. So if we're playing chess and you know that paying your farmer is going to get you further down the road than paying your doctor, then what are you doing? People go, eating healthy is so expensive, but you know what's so expensive? Diabetes medication. You know what else is so expensive? Going to go get your stents.
Come on.
Or going, the dialysis, right? Or getting limbs cut off. You know what else is so expensive? Taking absentee days off. What else is so expensive? Not being around for your kids to bestow the wisdom upon them so they don't make the same mistakes you do. You know what the most expensive thing is? Ignorance. Ignorance is the most expensive thing, because you can be ignorant and ignorance is bliss, right?
No, it's
but
not.
Ultimately, your ignorance will collect whether you like it or not. So it's not even about saving animals. I'm about saving this animal.
Come on now.
I'm the animal I want to save. And if I save this animal, all the other animals get saved, right?
Yeah.
Plus, we have to remember, our decisions don't just affect us, because your children will inherit the genetic consequences of your actions today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? So you may eat terrible now, right? But how many cycles will it take for your children to get rid of those cravings? Even if they get information that says, well, I want to live a different quality of life. But because my father ate it so much that I actually crave it because it's in my genes, right? So I feel like we need to think about the genetic consequences of our actions.
Well, I don't know. My daughter only eats mac and cheese, so she doesn't have my taste buds. But what I do want to get into, because I love that, and I respect
just popping out this episode.
I respect the movement. I do
still this episode.
I just love it, because I'm
me.
gonna be honest. I eat meat. I eat meat every day.
So did I.
Right.
I was you.
And this brother over here to your right also partakes in the delicacies of the mammals.
In the selection.
And
there's a selection.
No.
Yes,
we all make choices, and I think there is a lesson in moderation. And I also believe in the more global definition of sustainability, right? Which doesn't just involve recycling, plastics and aluminum, but it also means like, you don't need to overconsume things, right?
Yeah.
There's a limited amount, but I believe in the circle of life, and animals eat animals, and I'm okay with that. But
not all animals eat animals. So let's talk. No, let's talk about this, because I love this. You know those people like, I'm a carnivore. Really? I've yet to see one human carnivore. You know what a carnivore does? Carnivore sits in the savannah, right? And goes, oh, look at this guy right here. And then hunts him and chases him, and with his bare teeth, bites into that mofo, rips out his jugular, licks his blood all over his fur, right? Yeah. And then goes into the guts and eats the organs and leaves the rest.
That's not how we was designed. You was designed to bite into an apple at best.
Yeah, I mean, Red Lion's not reading books either. Like,
this is the thing, right? A carnivore is designed.
You can't compare yourself to a lion.
That's right.
Who does that?
You just said animals eat animals.
Yeah, I said animals eat animals. We're animals.
No, but some animals eat animals.
Are there
based on our
other types
physicality
of carnivore?
I got this.
It's not just carnivores, correct?
Let me have
There's herbivores.
Frugivores.
No, I'm just saying, like, so I didn't say carnivore. You
said animals eat animals.
Yeah. I didn't say only. I didn't say exclusively.
But you said it as a justification as for why people eat animals.
Yes. A validation.
I was saying that animals eat animals. Animals eat plants.
You never said that.
No, because that was only, I didn't say carnivore. So there's no exclusive. My diet isn't exclusively meat.
Right.
Yeah.
I've never once said I was a carnivore. I said I eat meat.
Yeah.
You
Just
see,
like
now,
he eats meat. But again, like, let's-
he keep trying to pawn it off on me. First of all, I don't eat chicken. I don't eat beef. I don't eat none of that stuff. Sometimes if I go out the country, far away from America, then yeah, I can partake a little bit.
but you eat lamb and fish?
I eat a little bit of lamb for sure, and
Yeah.
some salmon for sure. But it can't be like the farm raised. It can't be none of this stuff because I be having to really read this stuff now because they got all of these different labels and all this different stuff to say like they really just farm raised, and that's like the worst. That's the most parasitic crap that you gonna get. So even like the sustainable, they got new labels, sustainable fish, all of that. So you have to know what each one of them mean now and where they sourcing, because like she talked about, yeah, you go get the plastics. Yeah, you have more acidic ocean, so you'll get the acidic in your food. You're not going to get the same amount of the nutrients and things that's in nature that you think you're getting from the fish or even sea moss, right? Because of what's going on the planet Earth. So I believe in being health conscious, right? Knowing what you put in your body. And I believe that this is the ignorance that she talks about, because most people are completely absent of knowing the effects of the food and the things that they intake. I was just sick for the last couple of days, and that was probably from over traveling, right? But I knew how to, not at all, but I knew how to take care of my body. That was the most important thing.
Yeah.
I knew what to take. I knew how to utilize the vitamin C and the elderberries and everything else to put in my body to be back to where I am, right? To knock that out in a couple of days and be at my peak. Most people don't know how to take care of themselves, and they really don't care. So this is, yes, we can eat for taste, right? But at the end of the day, we need to eat for energy, right? We need to eat for the restorative quality so that you have that mental faculty, right? So that your testosterone levels are high and you have that clarity in your thinking, and you can be at your mental peak and you don't have that fog, and you don't start building waterways because you're eating too much soy, and now you're emotional, and now that attitude transcends in the household, and now there's an argument, and the argument turns into a divorce, and the divorce turns into the kids being in jail. You know what I mean? Turns into criminality. It turns into all sort of different things. So we talking about what happens. The journey of
Happy
is wild.
Okay, this, all right. I gotta
get to it.
What I want to get into is, I understand your journey to veganism.
Mm-hmm. I don't want to call it veganism.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the word
right.
vegan was created by two Caucasians who decided, you know what, vegetarian is so dirtied up because people started adding eggs and dairy to the pure vegetarian diet that Albert Einstein, Leonardo da Vinci, Imhotep lived on, right? So then they created a word vegan. So I'm not living for a name that two people created. I'm living on a whole food plant-based lifestyle. I'm living on Genesis 1:29.
No, I love we understand how we got to plant-based.
She went biblical. And can you give us the Genesis? Because I'm not a biblical scholar, and I know he loves the Bible. So
I know.
I
know you were talking about fish and bread and loaves. So, but I think
I'm not against. First of all, I'm not against.
Let's probably stay away from more the religious aspect, because again, this isn't.
But what was the Genesis verse? I wanted to.
So Genesis 1:29, which is in the Torah, which is in the the Catholic Christian Bible, which is also, a part of Islam, right? Is, I'm not going to give you word for word, right? But in other words, God's like, he made Adam and Eve, then he actually made the whole world first, right? He made all of the vegetation, then he created all the animals, and Adam and Eve came last, right? And then he told Adam and Eve that all of the herbs that grow across all of the lands of all of the earth, and all of the fruit-bearing trees that grow across all the lands of all of the earth, like, how generous is that? That's so generous. Like, you can eat all of that. For you, this shall be meat.
And then they ate that apple.
Well, it's debatable if it was an apple.
Look at what happened. Look at what happened.
But
if they'd have picked up that chicken.
No. Let me tell you. But
it wasn't a physical apple.
But let me tell you something, though, right? Later in the Bible, it says, somebody's like, hey, I'm going to eat this meat. And God's like, you can do what you want, but there's consequences. And it says it in the Bible. It's like, whatever you decide to do, it's going to come out some way, shape, or form. I'm going to take your cousin. I'm going to take your brother. I'm going to take you. I'm going to take this. I'm going to take that. But go on. Free choice, free will. And so that's the part of the Bible that we forget. And the reason that we put it on our packaging is because we are allegedly in a very spiritual world where people are very religious and going to church every Sunday or going to temple every Sunday or going to, mosque every day or whatever. I don't know what day. You could help me out there.
Yes, Fridays, Jumu'ah, Sunday.
Right, Friday, right? Yet, one of the commandments is thou shalt not kill. Yet here we are killing. And ultimately, I don't want my hard-earned money to go into the torture, the raping, the kidnapping, and murder of anybody. Anybody. And so that's why it's more than veganism. It's more than a whole food plant-based life. I just believe that at one point in my life, I will die and I will go somewhere, right? And it's a funny story. So when I ate meat in Miami, I used to eat halal only because you know why, right? And for a while, I didn't go to my halal butcher. And then I went to go visit her and I got the goat and the lamb and this and that. And she's like, where have you been, Natasha? And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I was so busy, I just went across the street, life's great, this and that. And, she cut me down. She was like, so what happens when you die and you meet Allah? And I said, what? And she goes, yeah, are you going to tell him you were too busy to be living haram? And even though I wasn't Muslim, that hit me so hard because one day we have to be accountable for everything we do. And so me as a human being, I will kill in self-defense, but I won't kill for joy. And I want to be as close to God as possible while on earth. So I want this vessel to be as clean and as pure and as high vibrational as possible. I don't want to eat the trauma and the pain and the suffering of anybody. And it's more than just food. It's how we treat each other, right? Like he said, you make a bad food choice, now you're feeling groggy, you got brain fog, you're not making the right decision, or you got ADHD, now you're agitated, you say something to me, I get triggered, I hit you, you hit me, all of a sudden we're locked up. Some bad brutality that happens.
And it's all because of that hamburger.
But,
Man,
we're
taking wild leaps here.
No, hold on.
I'm happy with both of y'all.
No, listen, first of all, I never even broke down the way I eat because I think that it's very nuanced. But they build prisons based on how third graders act, right? In that household, right, them third graders come from, a lot of the way that they act, of course, is environment, but it's also the food they eat.
Yeah.
Right? That sugar messes with the forming of their brain, the hormones and all of the antibiotics and probiotics, whatever the hell they putting in the food is messing with that child being able to be disciplined and have that control over themselves. So now they have all of this excess of energy they don't know where to put. And that becomes a toxicity within that child because the child, I can't sit down and be stable. I need to move around. Their brain is not forming in development to be focused. True. So now they can look and determine based on how this child is behaving in school, they can build more prisons because it becomes a pipeline to prison. It may not look that way to be that deep on the outside. But those who actually plan state affairs, federal affairs, country affairs, they know that there is a correlation. They know that, when there's no farm to table in the hoods of America. They know that the food deserts that exist out there are directly linked to criminality. This is a fact, right? There's been many of studies and stats that show this.
I don't actually know what the point is that we're making.
Well, the point is that
there's a lot of variables that are in there. So correlation, causation,
but there's
meat eating, food. This is just a lot.
Not just meat eating.
Different.
You saying meat eating? I'm talking about bad eating.
No,
right?
But
lack of nutrients within the food.
We all agree.
Actually have an effect.
Think about
mood.
For example.
And it creates mood disorders. That's a fact. Bad eating affects and creates criminality.
Bad eating, right? So let's kind of level set here on probably
you're not against good eating, you mean?
Correct. Thank you. I'm not against good eating, right? But I think how we're defining that is different, right? Because if I look at blue zones, right, the healthiest people on the planet, how many of those are only plant-based?
They're over 90 to 95% plant-based.
No, they're not.
A lot of them are.
Their diet comprised of
the diet.
Mostly.
I can tell you one thing, they all eat good though.
So again, what we're talking about is then moderation in the amounts of things that
we're
and
talking
the
about
quality
less
of
than
the
10%.
food that they eat.
Yeah, but when we go into the extremes, right? Because what happens in this conversation is starting to do it. It is binary. It's ones and zeros, right? So it's all or none. And we're not, and I think this is the problem. Hold on. This is the problem that I have with sometimes the plant-based discussions. There's a zero-sum game, right? It's all or nothing.
What was the first thing I said when we sat down?
There's not room for
there's a
discussion.
science to it.
Yeah, so I think what I am trying to dial back, because I eat meat, Keys eats meat. Lots of people in this room, right, eat meat. And I think, again, there is room for common ground.
Yeah.
Without
you go blurt out every time.
Yeah.
Right. So what I'm looking for is, and actually I wasn't even trying to dive into that, because I think people need to make the right choices for themselves based off of their health and doing blood work and going through that, which we're all here are for. But there is a room for discussion, which is, let's try to be as healthy as we possibly can for ourselves and as happy as we can, and without any of the judgment. So
there's no judgment.
No, but I think when we start linking conversations to prison pipelines,
but it's reality.
We're going in a very different direction.
I'm always link it, because there's a reality to where it is linked. So I'm gonna tell everybody can do this study. It's not do the study, but there's a study by Dr. Wesley, and it's called zip codes, and he shows how zip codes are targeted by the government and how certain food is shipped to certain areas. Then he shows the breakdown of food deserts and the correlation of food deserts, right, to poverty, to criminality and things of that nature. Now, there is a fact, like even there's studies in prison, so where they show when they feed the prisoners better quality food, there is less behavior issues. There's less violence throughout the prison, right? This exact same thing happens in the hoods of America every single day, right? People are starved. They're not in the proper mood, right? You eating Jack in the Box, you eating McDonald's, you eating all of these different things. You're starved for the correct things that will put you in a balance. And especially if you're growing up in a poverty-induced, stressed environment, you already have a higher chance of stress, of depression, of suicide ideation, of going to prison, right? Just based on poverty. But poverty is always going to be linked to low quality food.
Yeah, but
so this also has behavior issues at the same time. I never said you adding the plant-based. I'm talking about low quality food, because
I'm
talking
addressing
about
plant-based because I think that's the discussion.
Well, I don't think hers is just plant-based. I think it's eating good.
It's about giving your body, you are a glorified tree. And if you don't get the right nutrients, you don't grow in the right way. And if you don't grow in the right way, you end up in places where you're not supposed to be, where you grow wayward, right? So it's just funny that we live in a society where certain things, people are like, oh, they're proud to get off food stamps, which is great. But are you eating food stamp food? So sugar, corn, wheat, soy, and beets, like sugar beets.
Absolutely.
These are subsidized foods. Meat is a subsidized food in this country. Dairy is a subsidized food. So these farmers, if you want to call them that.
We don't think Beyond Meat is great either.
No,
but it's not. But it's not a subsidized food. It's not a government-funded food. So I'm talking about government-funded foods that make it to these communities. So if you look at all the government-funded foods and what they do, this is what your double cheese, double bacon burger is, right? You can take all of this and put it into nutrient-dense foods, whether it's, goji berries or hemp seeds, or you said kale or romaine, right? But there's somebody made an active choice to let these farmers grow at a deficit and depend on the check from a government to survive, just so they can take this foods and put it in impoverished neighborhoods. So if you want to act like there is not a connection, that food is a weapon,
no, I think we're having,
this is a different conversation. You see what I'm saying?
No. So I want to be very, very clear here, right? Because one, I don't want to be misinterpreted, right? The argument against food deserts, quality food, etc., all four, and I actually think all of us agree. So there's a deep common ground that we can all agree on there, and we have nonprofits that address these things. I want to separate that because I don't think that's the conversation. And I don't think that's what you are addressing. What you're specifically in the business of is plant-based eating and lifestyles, which is where the conversation is.
No, I'm not.
Okay, so now clear that up.
I'm specifically in the business of watching my mother almost die from lack of knowledge and my lack of knowledge. And I sat there and I could do nothing to help her.
So is your passion quality food, or is it
It's not about
plant-based?
the food. It's not about the food.
Okay.
My passion is, let's live our full life with our full faculties, without dependence on medication, without dependence on institutions to keep us alive, going to visit them every 3 months to make sure we're okay.
Yeah.
So we can live out our God purpose on this earth. Because if we're not living at our highest standard, we're not achieving our highest goal. If we're not achieving our highest goal, then what are we doing? We're victimizing ourselves. And I'm not about being a victim. I've never been a victim in my life.
I see. I love that. And I think what is great about this discussion, and I appreciate your passion and the background for it. To me, that's the common ground that people can actually have conversations on.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't know that anyone would disagree with that statement.
Thank you.
Or with how you feel, right? I just don't, unless they're just crazy, right? But that is such an easy place to have a conversation from. What often happens, and I'm not saying you're doing it, but I think what often happens and I'm going to use veganism because that is the term that is more public. I agree with what you're saying, because I don't think this is a statement from you, but we hear so much with vegans, the judgment against people that eat meat.
Yeah.
Now, if we talk about the quality of the meat, if we talk about, right, the overconsumption of meat, if we talk about the subsidies that go into some of those products, we talked a lot about the documentary on how food built America, right? And the system of that, right? So like,
foods that built America.
Yeah. So like we all agree with that, but I think it's like, I love that the conversation has kind of gotten to a point of common ground, which is your passion and purpose. Yeah. Right. It's the what and the why, the how. There's room for discussion.
Yeah.
And what happens sometimes when we get into, you don't eat meat or you shouldn't eat meat.
But it's not even about any of that.
Exactly.
What it's about is like, what do you want out of this life?
That's what I love.
You want to enjoy lust and gluttony and sloth and this and that. That's your choice. Just know what you're signing up for. Like when you go get a car loan, right? Or you go get a home loan or a bank loan, they give you 65 pages and you got to read the fine print before you're signing off. But when it comes to our health, we don't have any fine print.
Yeah.
We're not being foreshadowed or forewarned about what's going to come if we sign up for this. But we're just trusting our elders. We're just trusting our system to take care of us. And then at the end of the day, we get this bill and we're like, wait, I didn't sign up for this.
Well, so as part of your journey, do you do blood work as well?
Yes.
Yeah. So have you seen, I would love for you to, because I'm very, I'm maybe over the top on that. I do my blood work quite often.
You should let me read your blood.
Yeah. You should. My brother-in-law is a doctor, so we go over that, and there's areas and room for improvement as I change my diet. But can you talk about that and the shift, right, from, I'm assuming, your blood work when you were eating meat to now, where?
Yeah. So when I was an omnivore, I was borderline anemic. And every few days I'd eat a steak. Every month around my cycle, I'd eat liver, kidney, giblet. And every Sunday I'd have a roast. And I was borderline anemic. I didn't tell my doctor when I went pescatarian. I got my blood tested, and then 6 months later I got my blood tested again. And he's like, what did you do? And I go, why? He goes, because you're no longer anemic. And I was like, thank God. And I go, I went pescatarian. He's like, wait, that doesn't make sense. You cut out all your iron? I was like, no, I started eating iron. So I would say my body, but most people's bodies, if not all, we receive nutrients better from plants than from animals. And so my body responded in a way to the plants that I was eating and said, oh, great. Now I don't have to spend 3-4 days digesting this steak. I can actually send the nutrients to your toes and to your hair and to your skin and to your organs. And I can improve and update you. And you know, like you go to sleep and your iPhone gets a software update. How can we get a software update if you keep on doing construction?
Yeah.
Right? So today, don't advertise this, but from time to time, I'll take on clients and I'll work with them during the seasons, and we'll do their blood work in the beginning and then throughout in the end, and we see their progress. And I've worked with athletes. Yeah. I've worked with musicians. I've worked with, entrepreneurs and moguls and like all sorts of high performance individuals. Most of them are omnivores. right? And their blood work is whack.
Mm.
They got the body, they got the build, they got the physique, they got the bank account, they look good, but they're not good.
On paper.
Okay? Their testosterone is low. Their hormones are out of whack. Their thyroid is off. Their inflammation is high. They have cholesterol floating in their blood, forming plaque. Plaque swimming in your arteries. If it builds up around your heart, it's a heart attack. If it goes to your brain, it's a stroke. You know what the number one killer in this country is?
Heart disease, kidney disease.
Heart disease. Do you know what the number one symptom of heart disease is?
I'm guessing we're going to say meat eating at this point.
No, symptom.
Oh. I don't know. I'm like, I feel like this is where we're going. But walk me down the path. I don't know. What is it?
Heart attack.
Okay.
You know what the number one outcome of a heart attack is?
Outcome of a heart attack.
Symptom of the heart attack? Death. So the number one killer, the first time you find out you might have it, you're dead. Is that a risk you're willing to take?
It's still personal. Oh. Anybody else?
They're not going to help you.
Can I phone a friend? Is this what Dan shows? Like, all right, so no.
Presentation.
No, which I
No, because listen, Black men specifically have this issue, alarming rates, and we don't think about our health enough. That's why even I get what you're saying, and I that's why I never tell people what to eat and what not to eat. That's never my bag. My bag is to get them to become health conscious, to even think about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right? Because we never think about internal cosmetics. We do everything for external appearances, right? What we dress, what we look like. And we get to be ignorant about the internal processes until we have symptoms that let us know something is alarming that's happening. And the way technology is going, you're going to be able to get a 3D scan of your heart, your lungs, and your brain, and you're going to be able to see what's happening. So as you're eating over time, you can see whether you're getting better or it's decaying. So now you become internally conscious. And the difference between people who focus on like what they eat or the type of diet that they're in is that they have this internal consciousness about what's going on.
Yeah.
Right. And because everyday Americans don't think internally, we are an external economy. We are an external world. Right. And we want more problems because that creates more businesses, which create more profit.
Fact.
So death is a huge business. Sickness is a huge business. So when I talked about going outside of America, eating out there, I remember eating a huge meal, but I felt light afterwards.
Yeah.
Soon as I eat in America, I can eat a small meal and feel heavy, right? Because there's so much more packed chemicals, unnecessary things, and a lot of our foods are banned in other countries. And if you ask the average American, they gonna say, yes, we feel like our food is unhealthy.
Yeah.
And that should not be the average consensus, but we've gotten to this point where the average person can now agree, we feel like our food is killing us.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be something we have normalized as a everyday state. So the standard American diet causes stress, anxiety, depression. That's the sad part about America.
Yeah. So I would love to hear more about the clientele, not names, but when you take on a new client, right? And these high achievers, peak performers, what is that process like? So, all right, they call you up and Natasha, hey, I need your help, or maybe they don't even say they need your help. I would just like to work with you or whatever.
No, but
they probably don't even know they have a problem.
No, when they come, they know they.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So
they're ready for a
All
change.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Because you're not paying, you have to invest in yourself.
100%.
So you're not going to come out and be like, take my money because I'm just thinking you might cook good, you know?
Yeah.
There's something deeper to it. And I like that you asked that because firstly, let's just make clear that there are plenty of chefs, right? I'm not just a chef.
Yeah.
Beyond being a third generation chef, I'm a nutritionist. So I'm never going to cause harm on a plate. Not to you.
I like that. I like that line.
I ain't causing
Y'all write that down.
Plate
that down. That was a bar.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Talk to your chefs.
So Keenan calls me and you say, hey, Natasha.
Need a change.
I want to make a change.
That's it. That's it.
Right? I'm going to be like, okay, Keenan, let's go get some blood work. So we start with a fasted blood work.
Okay.
And we do a
How long is that fast? We do a 24-hour flat?
No, just night before.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. So we get your fasted blood work and it's a deep, intensive look at what happens in your body today, in 6 months, And if nothing changes in 3 to 5 years, it's literally a cheat code to your life. So the scans are great, but like the blood work is accessible now, right? And then we'll also do a micronutrient test. And then a food sensitivity test. So
intolerances and what?
Because I'm not allergic to food. I'm allergic to bed bugs and sea lice. Now, don't try to kill me, anyone, right? But I can be intolerant to food. I can be sensitive to food. So I'm sure you've heard of leaky gut, right? So if you think about your digestive system and your intestines like a web, if there's like a hole in there and you're eating kale every day because you want to be healthy and strong, right? And that kale goes out of your intestines into your bloodstream, your blood is going to go, oh my God, there's a foreign invader in this system. Let's create antibodies to kill it because it shouldn't be here. And now every time you eat kale, your body's attacking the kale and it's having an anti-inflammatory response, causing inflammation to push it back to where it's supposed to be, causing problems for you because it's trying to protect you. It's like a little war. So that's why the food sensitivity is important.
I love those. I had recently done that. I was working with a company in the UK on that. We had a startup. And so we all took the test, and it was interesting. I grew up with avocado, right? And had an avocado tree in my front yard, and then realized that I was intolerant. Actually to it. And so I started having, and now once I noticed that, or once I saw that on the chart, I started to notice like how I felt with it. And to your point, it wasn't like I was crazy allergic or anything. Like my face wasn't swelling up, but I just wasn't processing it the same. So I felt a little type of way where it like took me a minute. So I think that's a great test. So, okay. So you do the blood work, the intolerance test, then you put together a customized
plan.
Okay.
So say you want to eat out twice a week, then we'll create a 5-day plan for you. You want to intermittent fast, then we'll do lunch and dinner and some snacks in between. Because even if you're fasting, you should still get your calories within that window.
Got it.
And that's the misconception. If you're having too little calories, your body's thinking it's in starvation mode. It's going to hold on to everything, right? So you still want to eat. So we'd create a plan, and then I'll chef for you with the nutrition component with every meal and every bite.
Got it.
And then instead of taking a bunch of tablets and supplements, that's a whole other conversation, right?
Talk about it.
Supplements are 99% synthetic, made in a lab by a scientist. And now the studies are coming out that synthetic supplementation decreases your lifespan by up to 7 years. Certain synthetic supplements can actually onset heart attacks and heart disease and other problems.
Eat your medicine.
So we'll look at whatever vitamins and minerals you're deficient in and be like, okay, let's look at this food. We can get this from here, this from here, this from here. And then what we can't get from the food, then we go to the whole food supplementation. So for example, sulfur is the 4th largest mineral in our body. Yet the earth that's being farmed is very sulfur deficient. So there's something called MSM powder, and you can get an organic, very pure one ingredient that's natural, and you dilute that in water and you drink it. Now you're getting a daily sulfur intake. So I would recommend that for anybody who's moving. Right? So even athletes. But if you're moving, you should have this, right? Because you have cartilage and you want to regrow your cartilage. You have tendons and ligaments that are depending on that strength. You have hair, skin, nails.
I'm about to try that one because the way my knees crack.
We need to be
That's the thing with
strong.
magnesium as well.
Magnesium is super important, right? So magnesium is like deep sea salt. Most people are magnesium deficient. Magnesium helps relax us. Magnesium is a part of over 400 enzyme reactions in our body. So you can be eating perfect, but if you're deficient in magnesium, all this is on pause. So that's why it's a holistic approach. And then we see how you feel. I've been working with a client since August last year, and outside of 2 meals, he hasn't had the same meal twice.
So give us this, right? Because this is America, right?
I think
and
you missed that part.
No, I did.
I just want to show you variety.
I think this is amazing. So I'm going to ask the questions for the meat eaters.
Okay.
Right. That I'm representing.
Represent.
There sometimes feels a sacrifice in taste. Can you just just let us know what a meal, and I can't say typical meal because your plans are custom. So give me your favorite dish.
I'm going to do you one better. I'm going to tell you what people say after they eat my food.
That's probably what they say right there.
They go, if I can eat like this every day, I would be vegan.
So we ain't making that. What?
So next time we do this, we're eating.
I think people.
But give me. I still want a meal.
I think people overestimate the taste of meat because it's just texture and then the rest is seasoning.
Yeah.
Right? And the great vegan chefs, they figure out the texture and they season it the same way.
Yeah.
And so you eating, it's just this idea that, and listen, like I said, I grew up on the Nation of Islam, How to Eat to Live, Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He never said you couldn't eat meat. Right? Well, he never said you couldn't eat dairy, but he was talking about a different quality of food, right? Which is why, you know, you can adhere to whatever lessons, ideology you want to, but the thing is the root, right? That quality of what you're eating, is it the same standard? And it's not. So it's like, this is where we make those transitions and changes. So this is why when we have these conversations, whether we're talking about meat, dairy, veganism, plant-based, holistic eating, whatever it is, you got to look at the standard of quality of what you're getting. Right? So we can say,
I'm sure all vegetables aren't created equal.
Hell no. There's a lot of fake vegetables. There's a lot of, because you can't even now, you know, in America, you can't get none of these seeds that's not GMO from the government. So it's like the source of it is terrible. And this is why, like, if you really want a good eating, you would have to either grow yourself, right, or leave America.
And even that's tough because where you
or deal directly with farmers,
right? But
that have integrity.
You can finish that point. I just wanted to say it's like, especially I remember when the whole veganism wave took over. No, you couldn't find no good food out there.
Yeah,
it was all making the same crap, and it had an aftertaste that made me want to smack the chef. Right now. You can eat some food and it's way better than the alternative.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, I already know she getting down. That's why I just
But my pops always say, though, this is the difference though sometimes, right? Because see, meat, you can eat meat, and especially you grew up in the military. He was like, so you got to understand.
I ain't go off it.
Well, you know, he went military academy, West Point. But he don't want to throw a weapon. You know what I'm saying? Any other time, you know what I'm saying? Now he being Mr. Humble. Sergeant Humble, all of us. I'm sorry. No, but so my pop, we grew up in like a military environment. So my pops always explained, like, you have to understand, you know, where you at in life and what you're using the food for. Right? Because food is a useful source. We just have so much connection and attachment to food today.
Emotional skill.
Yeah. So we're not even thinking about food as like a source of energy. What am I storing it for? What am I using it for? It's just taste, which completely takes out the value of food and how you can use it for different things, which is why we're not looking at different herbs and plants and what they do, right? We're looking at how they taste. Right? And that's why human beings are just dying at alarming rates, because we don't know how to use food. Right? So to that point, I remember my pops used to always say, it's like, now, if you, the point where you really eating meat, he said, that's when you at war. Right? Because he said you need that extra aggression in you. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, just thinking about that idea, like, if I'm living in a peaceful environment, right, I might not be, and I'm in a peaceful time, I might not be eating that much meat. You know what I mean? Because I might want to be at a peaceful state. So I might be in tune with the plant frequencies, right? But when it's at wartime, you may want the brothers to put on some gains, you know what I mean? Put a steak on your plate, you know what I mean? Because we need them alpha wolves outside.
I have to go and bite it with on your face if it's really going. I don't know. That's
we're crazy. But it's just really thinking about what are you using the food for, right? And I think that that's important, because your body is going to be thinking the same thing, right? Your body gets information or inflammation. You feel me? It's either healing or killing. There's no two other things that your body is doing.
That was smooth.
Yeah,
just wanted to throw that ball.
That's interesting, because when I made the connection to my plate, I literally looked at my plate and I said, half of this is healing me, the other half is hurting.
Yeah. And just be honest. Just be honest with it. I think that that's the reality, is like, people feel attacked
people to be.
when it's like you're forcing me to be honest with my reality of my plate. I know I'm just eating this for taste. I don't care about how it is. And that's it. That ignorance of bliss is just saying, I don't want to have to think about the consequences of my actions. Right? And everybody else is just saying, nah, I can't allow you to do that. Right? I want you to think about it. Now, if you tell me that listen, I know I'm eating this meat and it's not the best for me. I don't care. I'm eating it for taste. Then I'm going to leave you alone.
Exactly.
But if you tell me like, oh, bro, you tripping. You don't know nothing. You know what I mean? You don't understand what you're talking about. I can eat this and still live the same exact time as you do. And it's like, first of all, that might be true. Who knows? Because everybody has a different body. But the quality of what you live, the aches and pains, the energy, for me, it's all about quality of life, right? And I believe that we're supposed to have light bodies. We should not be heavy. The average person is walking around with pounds of shit in their body.
Literally.
Right? And they need to detox. They need to deworm. They need to get all of the waste out their body. Otherwise, they're going to constantly stay in a cycle of sickness. And that does affect thoughts. And that does affect your will. That does affect your focus. And in a world where it's hard to focus, we're over-consuming content, over-consuming food, we become pigs.
Mm-hmm. And to that point, cell for cell, we are more bacteria than we are human. And I know people don't want to hear this, but like we are glorified high-rise living and we're the landlord and we have billions and trillions of tenants. So our tenants, we have to keep them happy, and plants keep them the happiest. Animal products, animal byproducts. And to your point about the dairy, back in the day, especially in India, I'm half Indian, right? So in Indian culture, dairy was a big part of it, but the dairy that they had was from a Brahman bull. A Brahman bull is A1 milk. It's casein-free.
Them bulls
dairy.
don't even exist no more.
So today's bull is not the Brahman bull.
No.
And it's high in casein.
Yeah.
And casein turns on your cancer.
Come on, now you talk.
Right? So we are not where we were.
I got the bull right here. Don't play with him.
Let me see.
That's the, come
There
on,
you
not
go.
playing with him.
Right? So we are not where we were. So the
That
instruction.
bull don't exist on the planet, first of all.
Yeah.
They used to worship that bull as like the god because it was the biggest, strongest animal on the planet Earth.
I'm impressed that you know the bull.
I be on my bullshit. I'm a Taurus. You know what I mean? That top energy.
I love this. And again, right, what I love too is the what and the why, right? And there's so much. I think when we jump to how, people miss the lesson.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what they're reacting to.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of what I like to make sure people are doing is getting the full journey.
Yeah.
And it's not because I'm not anti anything, but I love that you guys are explaining on the what and the why. And now people can start to make decisions on their how for themselves. I mean, that's on them. That's why we have free will. Yeah. So I still want to get to, because you haven't told me, what is your favorite meal? And then I want to get into your brines.
Okay.
Because we got to touch on that, and I know you have limited time, so I want to make sure we get to.
So my favorite meal to make you is something that you've never had before.
Okay.
Or something that you've had, but I want to show you in a new way.
Okay.
So that's where I sit down with you and I go, what cuisines do you like? What cuisines are you familiar with? Are you open to new palettes and new flavors?
Okay.
Are you used to salty, spicy, sweet, sour? Okay. You know, you're different, like umami, your different senses, right? And I want to expand that and then create a meal that's specifically for you. So it's hard to say.
That's a real chef, y'all.
Yeah.
Real chef. That's the creative process. She's not following recipes, y'all. This isn't. There's no book. This is all.
She's gonna make you a meal based on your blood.
Yeah, she's coming out. This is out the spirit. This is what the universe wants you to eat. I love this. Yeah. Okay.
Like it's hard to say because when I go shopping, I'll go to different farmers markets. I'll go to different stores. Like even if you talk about Sprouts, by where I live, there's 2 Sprouts, one behind me and one in front of me. And I know the one behind me has bad produce because it's in a different zip code. So I'll go to the one in front of me.
Wow.
Right? So like when I go shopping, grocery shopping, I look at the food and I'm not crazy, I promise, but like the food talks, the vegetables talk to me.
Talk to them.
Do they whisper or are they loud?
Depends what time of day,
Dr.
right?
Fruit Little. Right.
So Fruit Little.
Yeah, Dr. Fruit Little.
So I'll fill the cart with what looks good. I don't have an idea of what I'm going to make. And then when I get back to the kitchen, I look at it and they tell me what they want to be when they grow up. And then I'm just their servant.
But they don't get to grow up though, because you chop them and throw them in a pan.
They do. That's their evolution. They get to live forever inside you and everybody else.
Okay, that's like a nice way. That's a nice way to tell them.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like that chicken. I get it.
I like.
No, I love that. So
intuitive cooking is real. First of all, and I just want to make this last caveat on that. I don't even know if that's the right word to use in that way, but the way I'm about to say it. But the kitchen, right? The kitchen, I think, is disrespected today because the kitchen is not created as a healing ground. You feel me? Like, I want you to light some candles. I want you to put on some singing bowls. I want to have the energy right. It should be some dancing, fun, live, spiritual energy in the kitchen because we know for a fact, like they found recently that you can use sound waves to change the disease in the body, right? This is not some pseudoscience. This is science now catching up to what was considered pseudoscience, right? So it's like if that frequency and that emanation of happiness and joy and life and healing energy is not in that food, because we go to restaurants all the time, but we don't know the energy we eat, right? The food is like 70, 90% water. So the frequency that you eat is directly based on the environment that the food is made in.
Around it.
So I think it's very important that we make sure that we transform our kitchens and, right, when we're cooking, that we should cook only in good moods. We should have environments of good moods. And I promise you, that will transform to do no harm on the plate.
That's right. The kitchen is the womb of the house.
Talk to them.
So, and speaking of intuitive, my mother, she has so many spices and herbs, right?
I could imagine. You said she Indian, right?
Yeah. So in our kitchen growing up, there's all these glass jars. No labels.
The good
No
spice.
titles.
That means she already knew.
Spice.
Right.
That means she knew.
So while we're cooking, my mom's like, go grab me the fenugreek, the mustard seeds, the cumin seeds, and this and that. And I'm like, which one? And she, my mom had this line she would use on me. She's like, if I have to go get it myself, and you don't want that sentence to be completed.
That's what I'm talking about. See, that's how you train young girls to transition into grown women. They know they spices.
It's important.
And young boys.
Yeah. Young.
Well, listen, I ain't married no boys, so I don't care about the young boys. I'm talking about these women in the kitchen. Look, you can't say nothing nowadays.
That's how I love to cook those cigarettes.
Yeah.
She was like, you got to go in there and figure it out.
Yeah. It's important.
That don't know spicy.
It's important because you smell it. And then when you're cooking, you smell the food. It tells you what it's missing. And now you have a memory bank. Oh, I'm going to grab this one over here. Oh, that's better. Oh, this is going to complement it. And now all of a sudden you're your own doctor. And this is your healing pot.
Before you get to the E-Virgin, can you tell us, like, how does spice life and sex life correlate?
Well,
you could skirt that one.
No, I'm serious because, so let's say that there may be some erectile dysfunction in the household. You may want to spice up the mood. People always talk about aphrodisiac. So the woman can go in the kitchen and cook a food that stimulates the mood of the household. You know what I mean? I think this is important in marriages, these skill sets and things of that nature in relationships. I don't care if you know how to open up a Shopify store. Can you put the spice life to the sex life?
This is the thing, right? Sex life is based on how we feel. So the food that we eat will either make us feel tired and lethargic or make us feel energetic and ready to go. So that comes down to what you're cooking, how you're seasoning it. Because if you eat a really healthy meal that doesn't taste good, you're not going to feel good. So spice is an interesting word because in America, I noticed that people correlate spice with chili. So that's not spice. No. Chili is a fruit. Spice is a seed, right? So when I cook, I layer the heat with different spices. And so what that is talking to your different parts of your body. It's talking to your different organs. It's awakening parts of you. And the more open you are, the more you can transmute that positive energy into somebody else, right? Because now you want to give something. So that's why the food is important. And when we're talking about going back to foods that cause inflammation or provide inflammation, right? Cholesterol is not good for sex life. Cholesterol restricts things. Blood flow is important. So what causes blood flow? Like you guys have nothing if you have no blood flow, right?
Arteries got to be open.
So exactly. So let's have blood flow promoting foods. One of my favorite things is goji berries, actually.
Yeah, the gojis.
The monks.
I'm serious.
Oh yeah,
I love goji. Sure. They good.
The monks are onto something.
Yeah. So you feel like Goku.
Yeah. So next time you have goji berries,
that's my vegan meal. I see you.
I see you eating, living.
Living.
So if you have 2 ounces of goji berries in a juice every day, what that does is it transforms your blood. It helps produce more white blood cells, which eat the bad bacteria and the fungus in your blood. It helps produce bring more oxygen into your blood. So now your blood is moving, right? You said before, our conversation may not be binary, ones and zeros, but we are binary. We're dead or alive. We're ones and zeros. We're light. We're dark. We're positive. We're energy. Right?
First, to just put that on.
Oh yeah, in culturally speaking. But
I think you don't identify as
non-binary.
I think you do identify as binary.
You know what? I just so many goddamn codes.
Trigger words.
And I'm tired of these codes.
So when we're talking about our blood, where there is stagnation.
Oh, I must be in a good mood today. Yeah, I must be. What did I eat before today? Salad.
Some plants.
I had a salad.
So in the body, you either have flow or you don't. There's flow and there's stagnation. So where there's flow, you're good. Where there's stagnation, there's a problem. And so that stagnation comes down to the blood flow. It comes down to your energetic flow. It comes down to your memory. So sometimes this is connected to foods too, still, but sometimes we'll have an experience. Right. For example, I told you a little bit about how my mom accidentally kidnapped us for 4 years, and then my dad legally kidnapped us back. Right. So in that moment, when I was in the police car and at the police station and at the airport and on a plane, I didn't fight because I was outnumbered. Right. I couldn't go, flight. I couldn't run away because literally the doors are locked and I'm trapped. So there's 2 other trauma responses in that moment. And we don't learn this. We only learn fight, flight, right?
Yeah.
But there's also freeze and fawn. So fawning is like when somebody gets kidnapped. Oh, I promise I'll be so good. Just take the shackles off me. Right? I'm not that kind of person. So what did I do? I just froze. And so when I had some body work done a couple years ago, this woman knew, because this is our feminine side, the left, our masculine side is the right. And when she got to my hip flexors, right, she knew there's something that had happened when I was a teenager. She's like, so what happened when you're in a teenager around males? And I was like, I like, my husband's in the room, like, there's another person in the room. I'm like, well, nothing like that happened.
Yeah, he's the only one.
Right.
You backpedaling quick as hell on that.
His ears perked. What happened?
Said you touched the wrong spot. I don't know what you
You're a little too hip now.
Yeah, it's not the professional you thought you had.
So what she was referring to was that my father pulled me from my mother and threw me in a masculine environment. And I had to learn to adapt in this new space as a 13-year-old girl. I had to become the mother of the house. I had to cook for my brother. I had to run the household, take myself to school, buy my own books, buy my own groceries, like everything that my mother prepared me for. Literally.
Yeah.
She didn't even know.
Wow.
Right? But all of that froze in my hips. So at that moment, you know what happens when you lift weights? You have a lot of lactic acid build up, right? And that's your muscles and your flesh getting stuck. It's glue. It's getting stuck to your bones. Right? So what do? We do cardio after lifting weights to release that lactic acid to get the blood flowing. Well, I never got any blood flowing after that because it was like a year before we reconciled. And so that lactic acid glued my flesh to my hips.
Wow. And this is why they say women in indigenous populations dance and what we call twerking, you know what I mean? To get that movement out of the hips and to flow the body.
Yeah. So
twerk more. I guess
Well, I'm just saying twerking is an ancient indigenous practice to heal the body from traumas. It's a modality.
Twerk for joy, not for dollars.
I think it's just dancing. I don't know that it's
well, I'm just saying, and pre-colonization terms, is whatever gyration, movement,
hip movement,
spirit, you know what I'm saying? Whatever you want to add on to it, in today's post-colonization, we call it twerking. Now, today, twerking is for sexualization. It's not for healing, right? Because you don't have to show the whole world that you're healing. Because part of that is a trauma response. You need to be seen again, right? Again. It's a compensation. So I feel like, you know, when we talk about movement, like all women should dance, right? All women should have some sort of flow. That's the feminine energy, right? When women gets too caught up in a corporate position or something and she's all frozen, like there ain't no feminine woman. You need to move, lady. You know what I'm saying? We like a woman with a nice flowy dress because it's the flow. You know what I'm saying? It's the silhouette. It's the curvation. You got to be like nature. Nature don't design in straight lines. We got curves. So it's like, it's the flow. Like you said, either it's flow or friction, and we don't like restriction.
Yes. That part.
No, I got nothing on that one.
Yeah.
So I need to talk about... I gotta get to the brand.
Let's get to the brand
because we started talking about twerking. It's
all interconnected.
I gotta bring this back.
So about the
dresses were flowing.
It's
loose. There's a lot of stuff that took
love
place.
yourself.
Yeah,
it was a transition.
Absolutely. So now we talk about eating virgin.
Eat virgin.
Eat virgin.
Yes. Look, if you're out there eating virgins, it's not my problem. I'm just saying we got to keep that over there. We're talking about eat virgin.
Eat virgin.
Yeah.
How did it come about? And tell us about the products.
Well, like I said, it came about because once I came out of that rabbit hole, I realized there was nothing for us to consume to actually heal us. And not only as humans, but also as people of color, because in this environment, the food that was healthy tasted like cardboard. And I don't want to eat cardboard, right? And also the language, like I don't want to eat out of a brown paper bag just because that's meant to be healthy. So I want to be culturally connected to my food. I want to be linguistically connected to my food. I want to be culinarily connected to my food. And on a health tip, I want to be connected to my food. So this is literally out of a necessity for us to survive. And it's like, my belief is if I've learned something that helps me heal and be alive and well and excel me to the next level, and I don't share that, to me, that's sacrilegious.
Yeah. Let me ask you real quick. So there's a lot of people who talk about health, talk about eating, talk about food, but not everybody packages it up, right? Especially in this beautiful package that you have is very thoughtful, right? It's a very meaningful package. The story behind it, we got the knowledge behind it, everything. But I want to talk a little bit about the business of being able to do this, right? So when we talk about the business side, like how did you get started, right? It going from an idea, right, to being packaged.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that. So we started by hand making these. And
I'm gonna ask that. I recognize all these ingredients. This is amazing. Yeah.
So when we were hand making it, we liked this national coffee chain. And so we went to them, we want to, sell you our product. And because we didn't have the money, we were like, you know what, just sell it as your own. There's no ego in this, right? So we sold them naked packaging. Just then they can put it in the counter next to the croissants and the muffins. And so you go buy your coffee, you buy your Eat Virgin meal bar, but it was just called what it was called, right? And we started in 7 locations and they were like, give us a month's supply, 800 units. So we did.
Wow.
2 weeks later, they're like, we need another PO. You must have sent your friends. It's like, nah, our friends don't shop at your spot, right? So they were like, okay, send us another 800, right? Wow. So we sent them another 800.
Okay.
Sold out in 2 weeks. They go, okay, we're rolling out national. And we're happy.
Wow.
And at the same time, when being happy, we're freaking out.
Absolutely.
Because the PO was for like 20,000 units.
Yeah, you're trying to figure that out.
So now we had to go hire a commercial kitchen, go hire 22 staff, cut them into 11. I'm running 22-hour days, no joke, right?
Wow.
I'm running 2 shifts. 11 people come, 11 people go. People are getting like sprained wrists. We're like punching these things out. And we're like, oh, finally, we delivered. We can relax. 80 locations, 20,000 units. Guess what? 2 weeks later, we need another PO. And so we delivered one last time and then we had to gracefully bow out because we couldn't sustain that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
People are like, that's a good problem to have, but it's still a problem. Still a problem. So then we came to California and we worked with the best engineers here and we showed them our manual process and they custom engineered machinery just for us. Because if you look at the industry of bars, it's what shape is it? Right? Rectangle. And what does it look like? Uniform powder that's glued together. Let's just call it what it is, right? It's disgusting goop. And what it is, it's like, it has to be uniform. So it's all protein powders, protein isolates, synthetic nutrition filled with sugar fibers and sugar alcohols. But wait, there's more. Now it needs to run through this machinery, you know, like your toothpaste, how you squeeze your toothpaste out and then you put it onto your toothbrush. That's called an extruder. So in order to run through that, you need to also add oils, right? So now the industry is making this extrusion going squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Here's a bar, here's a bar, here's a bar. And we weren't going to change our product to fit their machine, right? Are you going to change who
close up on this.
So are you going to change who you are just to fit the world? Exactly. So that's why we had to make our machinery. And then comes the financing side. Well, I want to hear what you have to say first.
No, it's good.
What did you try?
It's good.
The cherry on top?
Yeah. No. I was gonna let you know. No, you know.
Yeah.
But I took my first bite with an open mind, and it is good.
Okay.
I see why it sold out.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's very tasty.
Thank you.
Very tasty.
That's my favorite flavor.
8 grams of protein in there.
8 grams. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And it's more bioavailable.
So it's actually better. So it's a little bit more. I'm not gonna it's not gonna waste.
And
it's food.
Yeah. And it's completely raw, so your body doesn't have to break it down because we have to break down cooked food. Don't know if you know that.
No, I feel guys already.
Yeah.
Actually, about to run up. Yeah, something. I don't know. No, it's very good though. Very good.
Yeah,
I can vouch for that, y'all. It is very tasty. Because I know there's some haters out there. It's always.
Oh yeah, it's all.
No, it tastes great. It tastes great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when we needed to scale up, we went to market to raise capital. And we sat in front of VCs who, you know, asked us what we're about. And we're like, we're building a company that's for everybody, especially for us as people of color, because name one Black-owned bar company out there. How many organic food companies are owned by people of color, right? Especially in this country, especially Black-owned. It's very few, if any at all, right? So this is the problem that we have.
Yeah.
So we want to make food for everybody, but especially for us. And we were told by these VCs that there's no money in the Black community, that Black and brown people don't want to eat healthy food. Black and brown people don't want to eat organic food. And my favorite thing is, how do you expect a single mother of 5 living in Compton to be able to afford your product? And so we realized what bias we were experiencing in this journey, this just like automatic discrimination. Automatic, oh no, there's no market for that. Whereas the fastest growing vegan demographic in this country is African American. Indians are 50% vegetarians. Asians are 50% vegetarians based on religion.
Right.
But you want to say that there's no market. So
it's always a market. It's the same thing with meaningful content. They said nobody will watch it. The difference is just nobody's making it, especially at a high quality. Right.
Yeah.
And I think that that's the difference. You get the right person to do it, it's going to be successful, especially when there's this huge gap. Right. And I think that's what we're finding out is just corporate just don't want to take the risk.
It's not even corporate. It's VCs. That's the challenge with VCs. And I'm glad you brought it up because I wanted to get to your
this
scale
is
model.
Specialty right here.
No. But I think with a lot of VCs, right, by the time it's obvious, it's too late.
Yeah.
So a lot of VCs, they want to wait until it's already hit. And it sounds like they didn't fully process your vision because now they're late.
Oh, yeah. Especially after this episode.
So all the VCs out there, y'all might have messed up. You missed. Because now she's in stores nationwide. And now the price went up. So
that's right.
You can come in now, but it's a different valuation. But go ahead,
Yeah, but even in that journey, so since last quarter, we've been trying to get into Sprouts. Farmers market, right? And we got to a point where they had received the product, they enjoyed the product, and we received an email saying, there's no money in the bar category. Funny, because you still have bars.
I was about to say.
Right? But also, period, you're too edgy and off-brand for Sprouts.
Was it the Virgin?
No. We are too edgy and off-brand for Sprouts. And so I was like,
That's crazy.
Let me call let me call somebody to see if I'm crazy. Am I reading this right? And so we sent a very polite, direct, analytical, logical email back saying, well, if it's the name, you sell extra virgin olive oil and extra virgin coconut oil. If it's too edgy, you sell Honey Mamas and Dave's Killer Bread. And the founder, Dave, actually went to jail.
Liquid Death.
They used
the cat.
Right. Liquid Death, another one. And if it's off-brand, is it because it's okay to sell to crunchy granola demographics, right? The hippy-dippy, barefoot, blonde-haired person frolicking through the fields, but it's not okay to sell towards people who look like us?
Wow.
Which one is it, right?
I'm going to tell you what they wanted you to do. Come in there with a white lady.
Well, we demanded to speak to their boss, and within 48 hours, we're on the phone with the director of grocery.
Okay. And
then last week, we were approved for national distribution, 410 locations nationwide.
Come on.
And that goes into like, do you just take the first answer you get, or do you fight tooth and nail for where you got to go?
Especially when you know what's right. And I think that's what I appreciate about you in this conversation. The passion is so clear. You know what I mean? Like, it's not, this isn't just like a shtick. This isn't a, a quick get rich hustle. You know what I mean? This is a story that is through your life and through your journey, and it's what you're deeply passionate about and you care about, and you're fighting for it. And I think shame on some of those VCs, because that's what they miss. Because that's what you're investing in.
Every beautiful VC, story is like that.
That's what you want to invest in, is that story, that passion, because this was gonna work.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like you weren't saying you really wanted to do it. It was like the universe brought this to life through you.
Yeah, I didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
I had to be obedient. And that's what came out of it.
That's the story. Yeah.
And, that's the joy of a good partnership as well, because it wasn't just me, it was my husband and I.
Come on.
Because we
since
joined
15.
Since 15.
Bought that gold ring.
Man.
So
loyal.
We started this plant-based journey together. We came up with those obstacles together. We didn't like the industry together. And
you can make a marriage work that long. I know you can make a bar work.
Come on now.
I mean, come on.
and this is the product of just feeling that we weren't being spoken to. We talked about the water, right? We didn't like what happened with the water, so we started our own water company.
You got to tell that story though, because this isn't your only brand.
No,
so now,
it's not.
Y'all ready for that? You ready to put that out there, or are you not yet?
Oh,
I got a feeling she might not be ready. We might be.
Cut.
Got to slow down a little bit, though, brother.
That. No, scale. Let's move them quick. I'm just trying to let these VCs know.
Well, yeah, no, they.
You missed one wave. Don't miss the second.
Yeah,
that's all. So she's cooking over here, literally. Some stuff happening. I want to get on that.
What's the food critic, Keith Lee? You gotta try these out, my brother.
Thank you.
Get everybody. Okay. So you don't have to talk about what's next. What's your goal? What's 5 years out? Where you going? 10 years out?
Professionally speaking?
You wherever you want to go with it. It's your life.
It's about, you know how people pray and they go, oh, why doesn't God help me with this? Or why why can't God change this? Why can't God change that? When I hear that, once upon a time, I was that person, right? And, I had situations that happened in my life that put me like, why?
Yeah.
Why me, God, right? Yeah. So I got to a point in my life where instead of saying why, I hear God saying back to me, well, I created you, didn't I? You go fix it. You go change it.
Come on.
And so it's about becoming the leader that I needed, the leader that I need in my world and I need in my life. And the more obedient I can become to what my purpose is, which is we shouldn't have to suffer for no reason. Like he said, if you want to eat shit and you might have a heart attack or you might end up with diabetes or on high cholesterol medication for the rest of your life or on dialysis, or you might just drop dead with some cancer after a long, painful suffering, and you're okay with that, I'm not talking to you. I want to talk to you. Right? So in the next 5 years, it's like, how many people can we touch? How many lives can we enlighten with the right message, with the right tools? because it took me a long time to learn everything that I know about food, and I'm still learning every single day. I'm learning about nutrition every single day, and people aren't going to dedicate their lives like me. So how do we reach as many people as possible to impact them? And Eat Virgin is one way. Teaching people how to cook and think for themselves is another way. How many ways can we reach you so you can empower your life?
Wow.
Man, I'm glad we had this conversation.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah. First of all, I learned a lot about you, about the journey, about the company, a lot about Keenan. No, but in all seriousness, it makes me appreciate this product, this company, and y'all journey so much more.
Yeah.
Because for me, this product starts from when you are a little girl. You know what I'm saying? With your mother. And this whole entire journey transforms, right, into this product. And being able to have a meaningful mission and a meaningful story behind it, I think connects it like none other, right? And that's the journey of life, right? Trying to get people, number one, to create products that have meaning. Right? I try to get people to create content that has meaning.
Yeah.
Right? But to live a life that has meaning, right? Which is the overall purpose at the end of the day.
Yes.
That you leave here leaving something behind that matters not to just you, but to the people that you left behind. Right? And I think that that's what you all are doing. It's creating a meaningful life through meaningful products.
Thank you. And I was going to say something. The other part of this is eventually, talk about 5 years, right? If you look at the food industry, you have your Kraft Foods, your Celestial, your P&G, Procter & Gamble, right? You have these Nestle's. Look at who created these companies. What was Kellogg's, right? I don't know if you know, if you guys are eating Kellogg's out there, but I hope you know that the creator wanted to, made circumcision popular in this country.
I mean,
can we talk about circumcision?
It was for a psych ward.
Yeah, it's for a psych ward.
Yeah.
Psych ward food.
Did you guys actually see that as a sidebar where he was talking about how to save money?
No.
The CEO. He's like,
recently?
Eat more cereal.
Oh, yes. Yes, I read that.
I thought it was fun.
Well, that kind of goes back to like they tenants as a company, because at that time they could market it as anything. So during the war, they was telling people to eat candy bars as like a ration to save money. This is how they was able to market it and get it to explode.
100%.
Yeah.
Right? And I feel like we're now back in that wild, wild west. You know what I mean? Like, instead of changing health, the economy, food, the amount of wages people get, they turn their products into a save all. Right? Which we know is not, but it's like this started 100 years ago. That founder of Kellogg's, like you said, he had a psychiatric ward that he just wanted something to feed. His brother was the one that was instrumental in getting that product out. And that was an accident, because one time they got overcooked and they got a little flaky, and he said, wait a minute, I think we got what we need. And to spite his brother, they was able to put Kellogg's on the market, which created then a whole Kellogg war. Then the side piece cereal started to come out as well.
Good old Post.
Creating factories. But from all of this, what you really get is the story that food has always been a monetized commodity. It has never been about health. It has always been about the dollar line in this country. And this is why Americans are so unhealthy, because the food was never made with the idea of health or healing in mind. It was always about the bottom line.
Until people like us.
Until now. Until you start Eat Virgin and Gold Water.
That's right.
That's the combo right there.
Yeah, I mean, you could week to week, Sunday to Sunday, man, you gotta be right.
And you also have to, you don't have to anything. You can do what you want, right? But what I believe is voting with my dollar. And I only want to support people and businesses that support me back.
Right.
I don't want to support a company whose values and ideal system I don't believe in.
100%.
Because if I keep on buying these particular brands that don't have my interest at heart, I'm feeding the monster to eat me later on in life.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. So I urge anybody who's listening, whatever you've eaten as well, whatever you buy, whatever you wear, whatever you live, whoever you are consuming from, make sure you believe their value system. Because if you're buying their products, you are funding them.
That's a fact.
Come on.
And that's going to come back to you in a good way or in a bad way.
Yep.
It's your choice. And again, that comes down to the ignorance.
Yeah.
Ignorance is no longer bliss, because you'll be cut that check at the end of the day, or you'll be cut that invoice saying, hey.
Come on. So please tell the folks where they can connect with you, where they can support you, where they can join the movement, where can everybody reach you?
Well, if you want to find the Eat Virgin meal bar, go to eatvirgin.com. I'm at Natasha Pestano Rice. Nice long name, I know. My last name sounds like a risotto.
We'll drop it in there.
Natasha Pestano Rice on Instagram. And I'm at eatvirgin.com too. It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
And if you have any health questions or you want to have a journey that you haven't had before and need some guidance, hit me up.
Yeah, I think we got it.
I love it. Well, thank you so much. I mean, this was great. I will echo Key's statements. I learned a lot. And I'm glad you cleared the air for a lot of folks about where the passion, where the movement is. And I think we found some common ground. And I think there's some behavior changes that hopefully all of us make.
Specifically, Key.
That's it. That's it.
We're all in progress.
That's it.
We're all learning every day. And we can all wake up and make a new choice and make a new life. And that's what it's about.
Yeah, this is manifest.
Keys and I are going to give up lamb, effective, immediate.
Let me cook for you first.
Yeah.
Just let us know where. So that's on camera.
This is manifest house. You want to manifest the best you know.
Come on.
That first house is your mind. So start here, get it clear, put it to a plan, and then next thing is action. Peace, family. On the next time, Manifest House.
This is about the playground for your dreams, because it's not something that you can give up.
Manifest House. Manifest House. Manifest House. Manifest House.